Hey everyone, welcome to my Enlightenment class. I have taught this class at a seasonal job in Colorado. I feel that I need to teach it because it'd be a shame that all this knowledge I've gathered would be to waste, especially the way that I'll be teaching it. I feel like it's very grounded. I'll be explaining everything simply. I have a lot of experience, over 10 years worth after being enlightened, and I feel that I can convey things that I just don't hear other teachers teach in a way that modern people can understand. Maybe it's because I'm an American, maybe because I just am the way I am, and I can relate to people at my time. But let's get right to it. So, I made a few chapters, but the most important one is the deconstruction chapter. It's the one that is going to bring you to enlightenment. Um, Everything else are things that I have discovered along the way that are beneficial. So, what is it? Enlightenment is the realization of your true self. Um, we come to a false identification with body and mind. We get caught up in the external experience, and we've heard this before, but I'll go into more depth as to explaining why that is and to discover who we are. What is it not? It's nothing that you're obtaining. You're not going to get powers, you're not going to get unlimited power. You are, that's a Star Wars reference, if anyone got that. It's really just realizing what you've always been. And by realizing what you've always been, you can navigate this life more efficiently and you can gain mastery over it. And why am I teaching this? I feel like somebody has to. There's so many teachers, but again, I just don't think they're explaining it in such a way that a simpleton can understand. So by the end, you should have a better understanding of the self, of creation, what is true and untrue. It will reduce suffering, but it's not to say that it will negate all suffering and you will acquire more freedom. So, who am I? I've gone by a few names. I'm currently going by the name of Ham or Sham, and um, I just was a dude. Um, at age 19, I became enlightened. I became enlightened because um, what drove me to it was the stick. The stick made me not want to live anymore, which is a common way people become enlightened, by saying, I don't want to be the body, I don't want to be the mind anymore, I'm willing to die, I'm willing to let all of it go. You're being open to something larger than yourself, something that you don't experience or that you've just overlooked. It's really just an overlooking, and all of the issues arise from false identification. So, what's my purpose? I feel like my purpose is just to live, it's to experience life, it's to gain mastery over it. Even after enlightenment, you're not perfect. The Buddha, when he was enlightened, he realized he was like in bondage to a million things. So, although you become free, you realize that there are a lot of bondages you still have to overcome. But by being enlightened, um, you can free yourself very quickly and swiftly, um, by living in that symbiotic relationship. So, deconstruction, it's the most important to find out what you are. You must know what you are not. So, let's go over that. You're not the body mind. Why? Because it's just an accumulation of creation. You have gathered your body through food sources. and you have acquired such a mind only through experiences, and yet you're kind of a slave. Not kind of, you are a slave to it. You have no decisions to make outside of what you've already accumulated. You can't speak as the first thing that came to my mind is an Italian. If you haven't been in the culture, you don't know the words to say. You don't know how to speak in their way. So you are only able to do what you can through what you've accumulated, and yet you are not what you accumulated. You're not what you perceive. And this is the analogy that the tongue cannot taste itself, or the point of the finger cannot point at itself. It's the self sees all things, it knows all things, not cognitively, but more of an intuitional knowing, and everything is within this knowing. I'll get into that more. The false self will die, and the true self is always present. So let's really break all this down, that life is impermanent, your body and mind is impermanent, but it's consistency that, and I think that's on the next slide, it's the consistency that makes you think that it is you. When you wake up, you have your body and your mind, and you associate that as yourself. But when you go into a dream or you go into deep sleep, the body and mind cease to exist, and so is waking. So the conception that you are body and mind is false to begin with, because if your reasoning is consistency, well, the body and mind isn't consistent to begin with. It's flawed from the very start, but we associate body and mind as ourselves because we give it consistency. It's also the most intimate experience that we have in life. Again, it's with that consistency, but you feel everything the body feels. You see all the thoughts that are of the mind. And because it's so intimate, I think our perception gets clouded through all of these experiences. And because of the lack of guidance or understanding of the self, it's the blind leading the blind and false identification. So, how can you really know who you are, what existence is, if no one else is seeing the same things? If everyone is um, deluded in their thoughts, if they think they are their thoughts or their experiences, and yet all those things are impermanent in nature. So because it's impermanent, it can't be you. So what are you really? You are the space that holds creation. You are pure awareness and intelligence that life operates on. You are infinite in nature. It's like a projector screen of pure consciousness, and it's the projection that is all of creation. It's the drama, it's the body, it's the mind, it's existence, and everything in between. And later in this course, we're going to touch on how they're one of the same, but consciousness is permanent, that it never changes. It's of no inherent quality. It's like a black hole, and it's theorized that in a black hole, it's empty, yet it's full. It's full of the universe, and yet it can never be filled. So that is the nature of consciousness and awareness. Um, and that's what you inherently are. Within that space, all of life exists. The body and mind is not separate from creation. Start to see yourself in everything, but not of it. And yeah, it goes just again, it's in everything. And if you can start seeing everything as yourself, but not of it, then you're creating a distance of identification, which is the pitfall that we all fall into over and over and over again. We say that I am this, I am that, but we keep falling into it. Whereas if you start to see everything as yourself but not of it, then you will no longer have an I that you can point to. You might hear a mantra saying, I am, and then you'll hear a mantra saying, I, and then the true mantra is no mantra at all. But the I am, when you say I am, who do you point to? When I say I am Ham, well, I can point to this body and mind because I'm identifying this body and mind as Ham. But when I have no identity, when I just say I am, well, where do you point to? And the voice that you hear through this video and what you see through your eyes, seeing on the screen, it's all within you. Like all these experiences are being experienced within you, just as your body is being experienced within you. So, like when you pinch your hand, you can do this right now. Pinch your hand. The hand knows it's being pinched. And it's through the cognitive mind that you can reflect on the pinching. But the hand doesn't need a cognitive mind to know that it's being pinched. But it's the cognitive mind that can react from it. Okay? So when this voice is being spoken through the speakers, through data that has been filed, and it's being projected and you're hearing it, it's within that same intelligence, just as the hand being pinched. It knows it's being pinched. The computer knows it's receiving data and it's making a sound, and you don't need to think about how the sound is being made. The sound is just being made. The sun doesn't need to think about the sun shining, it just shines. So to see everything as yourself but not of it, right? It's creating that distance of identification, and you're coming to a state of no conclusion. So no matter the state of existence, the source that you are is always shining. You can be a stone for all I care, a piece of pebble, but yet that pebble is within the realm of consciousness, of pure existence. So here's why you don't experience everything as yourself. So let's say that consciousness is air in this example, and the air outside and the air inside are the same, but a piece of the air outside was captured. And so the vessel captured some of you, this air, pure consciousness, and all that you perceive is through the human senses. So touch, taste, smell, all that jazz, right? And that creates a sense of duality, that this bubble and that bubble. But if we look within the bubble, we can see the air on the inside is the same air on the outside and the same air inside this bubble. It's just that they're different qualities. This is bigger, this is smaller, this might be more shaped differently. And aliveness equals awareness. The more alive you are, the bigger the bubble, the more awareness you acquire because the air, you get more air. So by looking within, we can find the air inside the bubble. It's a source of life, pure awareness, and intelligence. So this is said in Hinduism culture or whatever culture, that there's the 5 sheaths that have been studied: the body, the energy, the mind, the intellect, the bliss, and the Atman. I'm just going to touch on this for just a little bit. Now, we know the body and mind is gross matter. It's an accumulation of food. The energy is the energetic field, the vibration, the potency of our body and mind. The mind is coming from the intellect, and you can see it's getting more subtle. So the mind is more of a subtle atmosphere of energy, and this is where we mostly live through. We mind, energy, and body, and this is what we mostly identify with. But these are all products of the Atman, which in translation is just consciousness, awareness. So what is intellect? Well, intellect can be seen as intuition. It's the pure knowing. It's when you go from, oh, I'm the body and mind and you are you and blah blah blah. Haven't you noticed that when you truly understand someone, you become them? You go, that's the saying, like you walk in their shoes, you try to understand their experiences. When you start to become more than yourself, you gather this thing called intuition, which is a deeper knowing. It's a greater intellect than the mind. And beyond that is the bliss body. Now, this has no distinction factors at all, except the distinction of maybe still a separate entity um, playing with all of existence. So it can be involved, it can be involved with all of existence, and yet there's still a sheath, there's still a veil disguising itself separate from everything else. But because the bliss body has no distinction, doesn't matter pain or pleasure or what experience, the experience is pleasurable. So this is bliss. But the bliss still only exists as a byproduct of pure consciousness. And pure consciousness is what you inherently are, and inherently what everything is. It's what everything is being splayed on top of it. And it's how everything exists. It's how the bliss, when the sheath gets created, it's how the bliss even has bliss, is because there's this sense of duality and recognition. It's pure self-awareness, and then you can gather more and more and more complexity and have more decisions made in this life. So I think this is the last slide. This is me really just trying to hammer down that you will die. So you might as well live as if you're dead now. That's just not to say to be depressed or to whatever, because being depressed, right, is still identification with the mind. If you're depressed, who's the one that is depressed? It's the mind. And it's when the mind falsely identifies with itself and saying, oh, woe is me, oh, blah, 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 um, you create a singularity, an individual that it's me against the world, and you're creating problems and issues. So, really, what I mean by living as if you're dead is living as if you have no identification. You'll never be satisfied in life. You're always going to want more and more and more, and it's never going to be enough. And by giving it all up is actually when you obtain everything. You will lose everything. This is just an accumulation, right? This is just temporary. Life is impermanent. You can see life is impermanent. One day a tree is growing leaves, and the next day the tree can be dead. The tree can have its leaves fall. So life is impermanent, and that's pretty evident, but we overlook it because we are stuck in the mind. We live in fear only because of false identification. But if you realize that there is no death, there's only transition, um, then the fear will only live in the body and mind. But you create such a distance that you can recognize, okay, the body and mind has fear, but body and mind has fear, but I am not of the body and mind. So you can work on that. If you want guarantees, death is the only guarantee. Um, Nothing in life will give you anything, and you won't be remembered. And this is kind of a hard one. We want to be recognized, we want to be seen. Who is it that wants to be seen and who wants to be recognized? And isn't pretty um, not necessarily narcissistic, because as human beings, we want to be involved in a community. There's a difference between being involved in a community as a human being and trying to be recognized as an individual, which we aren't individually. Like there, it's a misconception that we are just this. I mean, we could say we're both of these people right here, the skeleton and the girl, and the background and the voice you're hearing through the screen. It's just, don't limit yourself, because you're setting yourself up for failure and for suffering by doing that. So I guess I was wrong. This is my last slide for the deconstruction phase, which is karma, which is just in essence memory. It's not that you do good things happen. It's more like if you eat good food, then you're going to instill habits of eating good food. And the consequences of eating good food will shape your body and mind into a more efficient version of itself. Karma dictates what you do. If you keep thinking of such thoughts, then you're going to be gravitated towards those thoughts. And if you can recognize karma for what it is, memory, and to know that you are basically enslaved in this habitual pattern, then you can start breaking the pattern, the wheel of samsara or samskara or whatever it's called. So, with that said, that is the end of that chapter. I think you pretty much get it. I will express some practices later in this video, but if that's all you wanted to know, then that's it. Everything else is more of a benefit to living the human experience and what we can do obtaining this knowledge. So now you're self-aware. You obtain God consciousness, as they say. God being all pervading, eternal, etc., whatever. Essentially, you're pure awareness. You know yourself as pure awareness, but yet you're living a human experience. Now, there was a moment, a long, long moment, years, that I realized that I'm not the body and mind, and yet I'm living the human experience and I'm waiting to die. Well, I'm still enslaved to identification of thought at that point, but I've touched the source of myself, and now the work is needed to be done. There's that symbiotic relationship. You know the truth now. You got to live through truth, and by living through truth, you got to undo the issues that you have caused yourself, and you can create a better version of yourself, and or a better version of body and mind, and have more capabilities. And it's just a game. So the work isn't done, and you have a choice to either be sad or happy. Now, sometimes this is outside of your control, right? There's a lot of karma that has been manifested, accumulated, and sometimes you need to be sad. Sometimes you need to be happy. And sometimes it just doesn't make sense. So you got to let things happen the way they need to happen. But if you understand you're not the body and the mind, and that you're not your cognitive functions, and you're not your thoughts, well, then why can't you be happy with everything you do? Why can't you see everything as beautiful and as a blessing? Because that's a choice, right? Now, it's hard. It's not easy. This isn't easy. Enlightenment's easy, but the work after it is hard. You are inherently enlightened, but the body and mind might not be enlightened to the fact of what makes it alive, what gives it life. And once it does, once you realize that, then you can have more freedom and you can choose this stuff. But sometimes you just need to be sad. So don't get caught up in what can be and what cannot be. I see a lot of hippies, a lot of people who say, "Oh, just pick yourself from your bootstraps," or "I can do it, so you can do it too." Shut the fuck up. Like, if you lived as a human for long enough, you know that there's things that are outside your control until they are in your control. But until then, there's just some things that you can't do. So you are everything and nothing. Let's get on with the topic. You are the bad and you are the good. You are pure awareness and consciousness. So you are in this whole existence. Like, Do you really fault the snake for being a snake? It's in its nature to be perceptive and to be a predator and to eat food because it's just trying to survive. It's just trying to become more. And we have to consume things to live. So don't necessarily think being a predator in terms of, an animal um, and eating other animals is bad. And that, like, say, like you're a herbivore and you're eating grass is good and whatever. There's pain no matter what, but it's the causation of pain. Do you want it to be lesser or greater? How do you want to live your life? What is the most efficient way to live your life? What is a better way for you as an individual? The nature of who you are, which we'll get to. Um, how does it? How is it good for your life? What is in your control and what isn't in your control? Goes to say earlier, just sometimes you're dealt with a bad hand. Um, Sometimes it has to do with your past karma. We've been told and by some yogis, and I have to agree with them. Like when I have um, thoughts or ill thoughts of people, or maybe I'm having lustful thoughts, it's because of my past. And is it in my control in what I do now? Certainly. But can it be outside of my control? That it can. So, going a little off topic here, should we judge those things? No, we shouldn't. Everything has the right to exist. It is here in existence. It wouldn't be here if it shouldn't be here. It's just whether, if you want to get fit, then do the right things. You need to go exercise. You need food. If you want to be a lazy sack of shit, then you eat Cheetos and you play video games. I've done both. Both are great. Both are nice. Um, who doesn't like to be all of those things? And to know you're not, it makes it even better. Um, yeah. Sometimes you will experience an existential crisis. This comes from enlightenment. Um, you'll feel the no purpose because life is purposeless. Life exists just to purely exist. It does whatever it wants. That's why it's so chaotic. There's order and there's chaos. And that's because it can. It doesn't care. It's infinite in nature. You can't expect infinity to have a bias. It just doesn't. So you're gonna experience no purpose as a human body and mind. Sometimes you'll experience what I call unbearable peace, a phrase I coined, where the peace is so constant and it's making you not do anything that it's unbearable. You can just sit in silence for so much time and it starts to become unbearable. Now, it's only unbearable to the mind, yes, but nonetheless, you have the body and you have the mind, and it's going to take some work to undo a lot of things that have been taught. So, yeah, it becomes unbearable. It's just like, oh my gosh, I can't sit still. Or, oh my gosh, can I please just do something with my life? Like, why am I so content? This is unbearable peace. Um, Imposter syndrome, knowing that you're not the body and mind, you'll create a confusion in the mind. And this is tricky because, again, the body and mind is what is being enlightened. Enlightenment itself, creation, doesn't need to think. It doesn't need to learn anything. It already is what it is. It's pure existence. So all of these practices and teachings are for the body and mind. And here we are, body and mind, realizing it's all of creation. And yet it's, okay, well, I'm not anybody. Well, how do I speak to people? Like, there's no words to be spoken. How do I identify personality, character? It's all false. What do I do? That's hard. It's a hard place to be. And you know what? Just stop fucking thinking about it. Just move on. It's outside of your control. It is outside of your control. You are what you are. You know the truth. Live through truth. But um, in the end, it doesn't matter. Which enlightenment is kind of a dead end road, to be honest with you. It's like, why get enlightened? Well, we really only want to get enlightened so that we can be better off. We can either be a master of our fate, or we can say, well, I'll let fate decide for me. Yeah, I rather be a master of my fate. I rather at least gain mastery over my body and mind and become better and healthier and happier than to just chalk it up to creation giving me a bad hand and not allowing this body and mind to live the way it wants to live, right? So, disassociation, you'll start to feel not relatable to everyone because everyone is in this false identification. So, it's going to be hard. You're going to feel disassociated. You're going to feel lonely. You're going to feel lonely, even though you are everything. You can be in this state of unbearable peace and you are the van. I'm currently living in a van. That's why I say that. You could be your house. You could be your animals, whatever. But you're human. That's the thing. All of these issues come from being human. And being human is great. But it's because we don't have mastery over being human is what makes this hard and difficult. And it's a tough road. So you can be enlightened all you want and be this happy, dippy hippie, happy dippy hippie, but don't be ignorant. Okay, don't be whatever. So what? I want to go into the duality becoming one, and this is a concept in Hinduism: Shiva, Shakti, masculine, feminine. This whole teaching and enlightenment is to convey that you are pure consciousness, you are stillness, the unchanging, the boundless sky. You are that which remains forever and always. Now, Shakti, the feminine, comes and goes, it's impermanent, and yet existence only exists because of Shakti. It's being splayed on top of Shiva, pure consciousness, but with pure consciousness, um, there's no life. So with the feminine, it's pure energy, movement, creation, the dynamic force that brings life into form. Um, this is what makes life fun, right? Life becomes a game and a dance, and you can have you can enjoy life and not be identified with it. You can be fully involved and not be tethered. And these two are inseparable. There's only a duality to convey properly the inherent nature that you are, but the nature that you currently are, um, the human nature, and that you are all of existence, but yet you're not. Um, you are until existence ceases to be, and then another existence may come forth um, beyond my understanding, except that I understand that eventually everything does become you, but you are not of it. So I think I'm wrapping this up now. That nothing matters, purposeless. It's your choice on what it is. The now is inevitable. So if you accept the inevitable, then you can come at it with a better point of view. You're living a human experience, like I said. Have fun, enjoy the game, and everything is a plus. You could just not be experiencing anything. All of this could just not be here. But the fact that you experience pain and pleasure and anything at all is a benefit. It's and that's hard to grasp. It's really an outside concept of our daily living, but experiencing anything at all you can be grateful for. Now, this has come down to me feeling like such a hollow man afterwards. You become enlightened, you get disassociated, you have unbearable peace, and you start to just like not feel anything. So it's a blessing to feel anything at all. You flip it around. You could say nothing matters and I'm nothing and blah 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 and whatever. And but you can look at it on this side, it's like, oh wow, like this this pain that is a mountain's worth is so beautiful as it is. Oh, and this mountain of love over here is so nice. And this body and this mind, like, is so cool to navigate and experience life with. It just have fun. It doesn't matter in the end. So yeah. Okay, so these are going to help you with life, okay? Be very acquainted with these objective truths are truths that will never change. Personal truths that work for this body and mind, and then others' truths to understand yourself in a different body. These are subjective, these are objective. And we'll get into more about what these are the next slide. But the reason why is because you never want to get lost or fall back into an illusion, delusion, beliefs, misguidance, experiences, drugs. You see it all the time, especially these two experiences and drugs. How often we hear people talk about DMT and experiencing such and such. And well, that's impermanent in nature too. And you're experiencing, sure, you may be genuinely experiencing a greater self. That you broke the vessel and the air on the air on the inside became the air on the outside, and now you have a greater understanding of the self. And yet, it's impermanent, guys. Don't get caught up in what isn't you. You don't want to fall into an illusion, a delusion, false identification, because any conclusion you make is a wrong conclusion of the self, okay? You're never going to have the right conclusion of what the self is. So the more you just shut up, the better off you're going to be. And then you live through truth and harmony, and that's your body and mind. So let's get into some objective truths. That life is impermanent. It's something I keep saying, but it's one of the best teachings ever. The more you understand this, the more you can let go and live and exist and have grace for yourself. Life is interconnected. To know that what you do to another person or to your room or, you know, it all it's all connected. You want to treat everything with kindness because that is you. There's been a lot of studies that show this is true, where they're speaking to water and the quality of the water changes depending on the quality that the speech was given. If it was love and kindness, the quality of the water was good. If you spoke hate, the quality of the water was bad. So everything's interconnected, whether you know it or not. There is no self. What is the self? I want you to really look into that because there's no particular thing you can point to because it's you accumulated everything and it comes and it goes. So there is no self. Consciousness is prior to experience, like we were saying, the Shiva and Shakti, and the now is inevitable. If you can, this is reiterated, but if you can accept the now, you can accept that, okay, this is just part of the infinite nature, the grand scheme of things. And then you can move on. You can navigate through it. You can understand it more and become better. We're starting to get into one of my favorite topics. What is the nature of your flower? It's so important. You know, we get these people that it's frustrating because they only see one side of the coin, and they misguide a lot of people. Um, and although you are pure consciousness, you are the intelligence that makes this flower operate, the awareness, the self-awareness this flower can have, that if this flower is cut, it knows it's been cut. So therefore it has a reaction. It might excrete a poison, or it might try to heal itself, or whatever. Because it's in pure awareness, it can reflect on itself because it is the self. And then all this is a byproduct of the intelligence manipulating and growing and manifesting. But um, that intelligence is embedded in the nature of this and the body and mind. And so you are the body and mind, and you are everything. So you either identify everything as not you, which is going to it's going to bring you to enlightenment easier, because it's easier to say that and to see the permanent nature of your existence, or to see everything as yourself and know that the permanent nature of existence is in everything. So what is the nature of your flower? What's the characteristics? How many petals you have? What color are you? What nurtures you? What soil do you need to be in? What surroundings do you need to be in? What brings you joy? There are hobbies and foods and all these things that you have and yet to discover, that is really good for your flower. And if you can make a wonderful, beautiful flower, wouldn't you? Um, this was something that I struggled with a lot, because I've realized I wasn't the flower, and yet I'm using the mind, the product of the flower, to say that I'm not the flower, which is contradicting the whole realization of enlightenment in the first place. Um, it's very tricky, enlightenment. You can't pinpoint it. You can't really put a conclusion on it. And I might have put a conclusion on it earlier, but um, yeah, let it be heard now. And what do you want to see in this world? This is super important. This has been a rule of mine for quite some time. People will do wrong to you. People will wrong you. People will lie to you. People will use you and manipulate you. And the instinctive thing that you want is you want justification. You want them to be hurt. But is that really the world you want to see? Do you want to see people in a hurt world? I think they should reap what they sow, but you should forgive them for which they have not forgiven themselves, or come to know themselves. You're enlightened, you're an enlightened being. You know you are all of existence, and existence is all of you, and we're all brothers and sisters. But they don't know that. They haven't experienced what you experience. So you have to bring in some compassion and understanding. It's not to excuse the decisions that they do, but it's to see that they only can act out of what they have been given. And if you can just scoff at it, to know that, you're still a child. Like, the maturity hasn't kicked in. You haven't blossomed yet. You're still a bud. Um, you haven't seen outside of yourself, then you can start approaching people with more compassion and patience and understanding, and hopefully you can bring them into a knowing that too. But also, it doesn't matter too, because what kind of nature are others? There might be weeds. There might genuinely be people who are just weeds. They're not even flowers at all, but they are of existence. They are here now. They are worthy of existing. And that might just be something you need to get over. So, what kind of flower are they? Are they a tulip? Are they a rose? We're all different flowers, but it's this diversity of flowers that makes life beautiful. Um, Imagine if we only had rice. Like, I love rice, but if I didn't have rice with ghee or rice with seasonings or rice with egg and bacon or pork or whatever, like, life would be pretty dull if it was just rice. So having this diversity makes life so much better. And to really understand yourself, you need to understand all the variations you could be, um, or the flowers that exist. What kind of flower are they? How do they communicate? And what do they need? And here I have it, even though they may all be different flowers, when we look within, we find ourselves connected to the same soil. Um, so don't get caught up in the flower that you are. Oh, I'm so beautiful. Oh, I'm so smart. Oh, everyone's so dumb. That might be true. But they might not have, they might still all be buds and you figured out how to blossom and you're not going to teach them how. You're not going to tell them that they're only a bud, that like they're actually like not even the flower, but they haven't been enlightened and they haven't seen that they're connected to the soil and that you're all like beautiful and like I get that it's not your job. You don't need to do it. Someone will do it, right? That's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I want to. I think I can teach it. So therefore I am. But you don't need to. If you want to live as a flower and you just want to live for yourself, that's fine. It's there's no right or wrong way to live. But just know if it upsets you, like it upsets me, it upsets me greatly. I want to teach people. I want people to fucking get it because I'm tired. Hear it in my voice. I am tired of how we treat each other. I'm tired of how we're all just fucking idiots. We need to shut the fuck up and we need to look and we need to listen and we need to have the right eyes and ears to hear and see. And I believe I know how, or at least I can guide myself to it. And I feel like I can guide other people to it. So there's that. So here's the fun part, right? Now we're going to get into like the powers, the capabilities, the manifestation, the evolution, the pursuit, what it's all about, baby. Um, Enlightenment is literally the foundation. If you are not, if you do not understand the fundamental nature of what you are, you're going to get caught up. This is an entrapment. What could be a tool, what could just be of benefit and a nice little luxury will now be, you'll be enslaved to. So you don't want to be enslaved to anything, okay? That is why you need to detach and understand the nature of yourself as you are what you are first, and then you work up from there. You start from the root, guys. Funnily enough, enlightenment is the Sahasrara. But whatever. Um, Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about, which is true. So, improve the vehicle. You can improve your nervous system, your body, mind, the quality of the organic tissue, functionality, conscious effort, and prana. So, mostly this is just the foods you eat. You can think about this consciously. There are yogas you can do. There's one that is called, what is it, Nidra Yoga, which is union through sleep. And so, through the desire manifestation, the intention through your resting state of existence, you can subtly influence your body and mind to conjure up certain responses and direction in your life, which is basically like placebo on steroids. And the better your body and mind is, the more alive you are, which brings more awareness, which brings more capability, which brings more fun and happiness and joy and etc. So that is the work you got to do. Create your reality. You can develop the way you think. You can chase your dreams, cultivate the mind, and let go of what doesn't serve you. When you can harness the mind, which is an extremely difficult thing to do, it's like it has been said that this should be the pursuit other than spiritual powers, because if you become wavering in your mind, you will get nowhere. You will keep being caught up. You'll be in the same place over and over and over again. You will keep doing the same shit. And if you can develop the mind in such a way that it is of your doing 100%, then nothing will tempt you that doesn't serve you. Nothing will get in the way because you will find a way. This is a superpower. This is better than any superpower you can obtain. Um, of course, it would be nice to levitate and to do those other things, but if you don't have the right mind, you're gonna slip. You're gonna slip up. The chakras. So we have all the 7 chakras. I'm not gonna go over all of these, but these are the qualities of these chakras. Um, there isn't one significantly better, but it is said to work on the third eye. Don't get caught up, you idiots. Don't think you're going to obtain spiritual powers and you're going to be better than the rest of everyone because your third eye is open. The third eye is just, it's perception. It's seeing things as they are clearly for what they are. And if you have this um, activated, let's say, I don't want to say awaken. It sounds like you're obtaining a power. It's more of like you just activate it. It's something already within your ability. Then you're going to have the perception to see all these other ones and know what you need to do through intuition, beyond the mind, by pure knowing. So it is emphasized that this is the first one you should activate so that all the other ones come easier. But if you want to start with the first 3 and then work your way up, you can. If you want to start in the heart, you can. The heart is known as the bridge between the manifest and the subtle, the gross and the subtle. Um, from my experience, um, you know, I won't go into my experience. I'm working on all these things every day, some of them more than others. Right now, I'm working on the throat chakra, which coincidentally is the name that I'd taken up on Ham, which was not intentional, actually. I was kind of sitting by myself and I felt I didn't have an identification and I needed a name. And so I felt this reverberation, and that's the reverberation that I got. But yeah, anyways, benefits of enlightenment. You get states of ecstasy and bliss. You can enter your bliss body. That goes to the kosha. That because you are falling back between the koshas, right? You're going backwards. You can enter a state of bliss, just pure existence, that everything just starts to feel good. Even pain, you can just not identify with anything. You just experience things as they are. And then even like your physical sensations start to be enhanced, and a simple touch can be ecstatic. You can just develop a sense of belonging. I know earlier we were saying disassociation, but in times of clarity and pure existence, your sense of belonging will be enhanced because you are the room, you are the van, you are everything. Um, it's the body and mind that has the complications, and so we work on that. And the more we work on that, the more this stuff will get enhanced. You get a higher intellect and emotion just by being self-aware, by being knowing of your true self. Um, greater intelligence or intuition and expansion of awareness, which is really nice and useful right now. Yeah, actually, no, we'll just go on. This is fun. This is outside my experience, but I will tell you that the potential decision in the afterlife is the vessel you desire, the work you do, and the mastery. If you obtain a certain mastery, you can obtain a vessel you desire, the environment you want. It's kind of like you're becoming a fly or a bee. If you become a bee, you go towards flowers. You become a fly, you go through trash. So really, the work we do in this life will determine the vessel and the environment you want. If you gain such mastery, you can either remain on the physical plane or transcend to the astral plane, which is subtle, more subtle in nature, more expansive than the gross nature. I recommend going in the astral realm. Just keep your mind fixated on becoming more, because all suffering comes from false identification and limitation. You can completely dissolve into all of existence, which um, I think is the goal. If you can do that, if you can be just pure consciousness. Impossible fantasy, this is a fun one. Imagine you gain all mastery of body and mind, your pure consciousness. Um, well, at that point, you're free. You're a free being, 100%. So now you can decide everything about this, every single thing. You can decide to dissolve or astral or whatever. So in theory, because of everything's infinite, you can live a life of like Hogwarts or or um or Avatar, which is one of my favorite things. Avatar, like the blue people on the planet, where they're riding like wyverns or dragons, I don't know what they are. And you're connected to everything. That just seems freaking awesome. That seems fun. The community seems great. It just seems awesome. So possible fantasy because existence is infinite in nature. In the astral realm, anything's possible. You can just think of what you want and it gets created. It is said that the gross physical reality is just but a shadow of existence. So if you think of a tree in a shadow, like that's what it is. We're living in the shadow of a tree in the physical realm. So, one more thing, because we're going into the last chapter, is I really wanted to explain the existence of, well, I guess we're going into the vessel. You know that back to the topic with the bubble and being in the vessel. Um, maybe I'll just move on. It's off topic. It's way back then. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So let's go to the assistants. Um, the practices, the objects, the diet, stuff that will assist you in your life. Okay. So this is Ayurveda. You might have heard of it before. Here's the description of everything. It dates back 5,000 years. It translates to the science of life or the knowledge of longevity. It's just holistic practices that help body and mind. Yoga is, in translation, union. It's becoming in that symbiotic relationship between what you are inherently, pure consciousness, awareness, and your body and mind. Your body and mind needs to create more a symbiotic relationship between pure consciousness. And here's the ways to do it. So you can do it through the body, you can do it through the energies, you can do it through emotion, or you can do it through the intellect. Basically, not doing it through the body. Every movement, sensation that you do is conscious. You know that you are making these movements, that you are um, engaging with the physical reality consciously with full involvement. Okay. Kriya Yoga is harder, it's subtle. You're working with your inner energies. By working with your inner energies, you can gain mastery over a lot of things. You can increase your prana, which is your life force. You can manipulate your energies in a certain way. You can understand life more through Kriya Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is pure emotion. It's seeing, for instance, everyone as your brother and sister with pure love. Um, this has been something that Christianity teaches, but I don't think they know why they teach it. And they only focus on bhakti yoga, but they take away all of this, right? Or maybe they'll have some karma yoga of doing compassionate stuff. But um, I think sometimes the religion doesn't really teach why it teaches bhakti yoga. Like, oh, don't think about that. Oh, it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter. If you can be fully in love and be in union with creation, you can know yourself and you can know everything intimately. But we're different flowers. We can be tulips and roses, so there might be different ways for us to be in union more better. Now you want to have all four, okay? But find the one that works for you the most, right? For me, it was Yana. What I know, I know. What I don't know, I don't know. Being honest with yourself, knowing the mind, knowing everything that is happening within your mind, and knowing reality and existence. This is how I got there. Um, but now I'm developing these other ones that are useful because wouldn't you want more ways to become more bigger, better, stronger? So practices mudras. We have a nervous system. We have electrical currents going through our body and mind. So when you create a certain circuit with mudras, you're creating a certain reaction that is happening within the body and mind. So this does have an effect. It might be subtle, but it still exists. It still works. Breath work, you can do fluttering of breaths. So with through your nose, you can or create a certain pattern with breathing. Sounds, it is said that everything is energy and um, sound, vibration, that the reason why manifestation holds its form because it vibrates on that form, and life is moving so slowly that it retains that form, but there is oxidization, so which the vibration is slowly um, coming out of itself, right? It can't maintain itself forever. um, Only the eternal consciousness of Shiva is forever. Creation comes and goes. And so vibrating, creating sound can create a certain pattern within the body mind. And so um, ah, can create synergy or symmetry in the body that is good for the body mind. Bandhas are locks: an anal lock, stomach lock, and throat lock. Here it looks like they're doing, I don't know what they're doing. But by creating by creating a lock, you can push the energy up higher. By creating a stomach lock, you can push it higher. By creating a neck lock, you can push it even higher and create states of ecstasy out the bindu, um, which is pleasurable. The head tilt, there's a um, was it a nectar in the brain, and if you tilt it back, you create a an elixir, something positive. But if you tilt it forward, you can create ignorance and a poison. If you ever tilt your head forward, you'll start to feel yourself heavier, more ignorant, closed-mindedness. Your awareness kind of deafens. But if you tilt it up, immediately you kind of are forced to see more. You're forced to you feel lighter, um, and there's a reason for that. There's a certain excretion that happens. You can do a forehead focus, which helps activate the third eye. Sensory deprivation helps with enlightenment and coming into more subtle natures of the body. If you close your eyes, plug your ears, plug your nose, taste nothing, and try to experience everything as nothing, but still having a waking, conscious, cognitive mind. The cognitive mind can then look inside, inwardly, noticing more subtle experiences happening. Mantras, again, those are those sounds. Sometimes we need to tell ourselves, I'm not the body, I'm not even the mind, neti neti, I'm not this, I'm not that. These are practices for the mind and the mind only. Sometimes there are benefits in the sounds that we say, but I won't go into that. Asanas are positions that are supportive for body and mind. If you can be in an asana and perfect an asana, is said to be of great deal for you. And they help move energies positive and negatively if you can create certain asanas. And then fasting helps purify the body and mind. Constantly digesting food creates focus and digestion, which creates lethargy in cognitive function, which then gives less reflection of your existence and the symbiotic relationship that you have. So fasting is really good. Some objects to assist you, and these are all tested and tried by me, and I can say that all of these work to a certain degree. What works the most? Ghee lamps, um, copper, supplements, Rudrakshas, and Vitbhuti. These are like S tier stuff, and everything kind of falls underneath. So ghee lamps, they purify the spaces, they create a certain atmosphere. These are goaded. You want ghee lamps. Natural fabrics, your body absorbs everything. You have pores. Those pores are slowly eating what is on the surface of the skin. Don't ask me how. We just absorb shit, okay? So if you have strands of polyester, you're absorbing plastic into the system. And there's a lot of studies to show that that's not good. Copper is fantastic for vegetarians because we get a lack of copper intake, but if you're wearing copper, you're absorbing copper through the skin. It also acts as a very nice conductive for energy and groundedness. Supplements are great. They help create a certain presence, a reaction in the body mind to help support it. Dry brushing and oil massage. Dry brushing gets the dead skin off, or else our skin's just going to keep absorbing things that we're trying to get off of our skin. We don't want to reabsorb dead skin, it's not useful. And oil massages, we're introducing, like if you get like ghee or sesame oil or coconut oil, all organic, we're introducing oils that are beneficial for the skin, the largest organism on the body, and it helps with our ojas. Um, Incense and essential oils can create a certain atmosphere for the mind. The neti pot clears out toxins in the nasal canal. You can have mucus that you want to release. Rudrakshas work as a tool that have a certain vibrancy to create well-being depending on the face of the Rudraksha. And wearing them, if you don't have a mastery of your body and mind, this will help you a lot. This is what novices should wear. Um, I eventually had to take them off because they weren't helping me anymore. I have gone beyond Rudrakshas, but I advocate for Rudrakshas 1,000%. Mantras and yantras. Yantras are a physical shape. Um, all shapes have a certain consequence in the surroundings that they surround by. Um, for an example, let's see. Um, Say like a messy room. A messy room creates a certain atmosphere, right? And all the clothes don't have to be dirty. Nothing has to be dirty. This can be a completely clean room. But just because the way the room is, it creates a certain atmosphere. And that's what yantras are. Yantras have a certain shape, and so they create a certain atmosphere. And that's essentially what it is. And Vishbhuti is a ash. It's made from cow dung, which cows are revered because their emotional existence and that they have such a good purifying digestive system that when they do excrete their excretions, it's that of a certain caliber where it is an antibiotic. And so they, I think that's correct, antibacterial, I believe. Um, and they create an ash from it, and that ash is supposed to symbolize death so that we can stay aware of our mortal nature, so we can disassociate, but it also has a certain quality that helps us spiritually, which I have felt before. These are the three gunas. In life, there are only these three: tamas, sattva, and rajas. Um, tamas are what creates a dull mind, obscures awareness. Rajas stimulate the mind. This is what everyone likes, are rajas, but they also distort reality and create anxiety and create all these issues. Sadvas is right in the middle, creates clarity, calmness, awareness. Um, yeah, it's just you want sattvic lifestyle. These are the foods that have been categorized as sattvic, rajasic, and tamastic in nature. So take a look at these. Basically, it's everything we're told: grains, beans, legumes, nuts, herbs, water, um, fruits, veggies, oils, some dairy. Um, these are all sattvic in nature. These are all whole foods. They're good foods. Now, these are all things that can be processed, or there's a saying that anything that grows below ground is lethargic or rajasic in nature, which is stimulating. And so is onions. That goes with onions. And I think garlic is actually, yeah, garlic is in the tamasic. So anything that is grown in the soil is lethargic in nature and not good for you. Now, why is tamastic negative prana, negative pranic? It takes away life. Garlic is an antimicrobial, which means it kills everything. It kills bacteria, viruses, parasites. Um, so, what is that going to do in the system? It's going to do the exact same thing. It's killing you. Um, and that's that's all that is being said. If you want fucking to eat onions and garlic, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. It tastes good. Just know that it is creating lethargy in the system because it's taking away life energies. And this stuff is stimulating the mind, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good to do that. Um, you know, you will go throughout life and you'll realize what your vices are and what you do and what you don't want to do, and if you can give it up and if you don't want to, like that. It's completely fine. I'm just giving you the information. So now we're going into the doshas: vata, pitta, kapha. So just like the gunas, there are three. Everything's made out of the five elements: fire, earth, water, air, and ether. Think of it more as qualities. Everything is of these five qualities. The body is made of 70% water. There's so much earth material in it. I breathe constantly in and out, and my metabolism and my body uses heat. And then there is always space. There's always space within reality of existence. Um, so out of those five, make up three, and you can know what your dominant body trait is. Now, it's very, very, very rare to have all three equally. You mostly have a dominant, a subdominant, and then you have the one that is not. So for me, it is dominant vata, subdominant pitta, and my kapha is not dominant at all. And these are some of the things that, if it's in balance, this is what it looks like. If it's out of balance, this is what that looks like. There's a whole science behind it. What diet you should eat, the workouts you should do, the hobbies you should have, because they work in your favor. It doesn't mean you have to do it or it's wrong not to do the things that they say to do or not to do. It's just a guidance. It's what they have discovered that it's going to give you the best result. We're coming to the very end here. You're going to see a lot of books from my guru. You'll hear a lot of things that I've talked about my guru. I'll explain about him later, but all of these are good books. Now, I highly recommend these 3 books. These are for simpletons like you and I. But if you come to a more advanced stage, and here, if you don't understand enlightenment, read these. Don't even look at these, okay? I swear. I swear to God. Just don't. um these are what you're going to need. But if you come to enlightenment and you've come to a greater understanding of the self and you want to know more, you can get into these. Kundalini Tantra is a very advanced, in-depth book about the body and mind and the chakras and what to do to activate them and etc. The complete illustration book of yoga. This is super cool too. It has a lot of hatha yoga practices in it. It's very well written and spoken. Highly recommend these 2 for advanced. Kriya Yoga is by Yogananda, and Autobiography of a Yogi is by Yogananda. Kriya Yoga has to go in the most scientific explanation of creation and understanding consciousness than I have ever read. This book is goated. It's such a cool insight into Yogananda's perception of Kriya Yoga and an existence of consciousness and body and mind. I mean, this guy, he just knew so much. Siddhartha is a good story. This is just a good fictional story about Siddhartha the Buddha, about his life, what drove him to be a yogi in truth. And I feel like we can all relate to Siddhartha in a way and to come to the same conclusion. And Ayurveda, beginner's guide. So this goes with the simpleton category. Okay, you can read Ayurveda and Siddhartha and autobiography. It's really these 3 that are pretty advanced. You definitely want to know your dosha. You want to know Ayurveda um, practices and what is good for you, what isn't good for you. So yeah. Lastly, I want to shout out my guru. I am everything because of my guru. Sadhguru helped guide me. Um, I would not be where I am without that guy. I seriously wouldn't. I was depressed and I was suicidal, and um, I still am sometimes. Um, it doesn't. Your problems don't go away just because you're enlightened, but because you're enlightened, your problems can go away. And they can go away more swiftly and efficiently. So it's because of this man has made me who I am. So his name is Sadhguru. He has an organization of Isha, and his website is the ishasadguru.org webpage. Definitely look up this guy. Fantastic, fantastic teacher. And here's my closure. So I do have an email. You can feel free to email me if you want, or you can just comment and I will reply. If this starts to become an issue, then I might deactivate that or whatever. But my goal in all of this, in this whole entire class, is I want to live a life where we all recognize each other, that we all take care of each other, that we see each other, that we know each other, that we can exist and dance and have fun and know that life is just a game, that it's just a thing to be enjoyed, that we can live in a utopian society. It's not impossible. It's so possible. It's doable, like in a year, in a day, maybe not in a day, but it's so possible in like the next generation of people. We just need the right guidance, the right teachings, we the the right effort. And I know it's a lot to ask, but uh, I mean, this is it, guys. This is the joy, the love to really feel like you belong and feel like everything is good in the world. And that is just the goal. It really is the goal. If there is any goal, it's this. Living so free and with so much love. So that's the end of my class. I hope you like it. There's so much to be said that I left out. It is a comprehensive class. I try to hit everything that I felt like needed to be hit. There are things definitely left out. I can speak a lot more about any of these topics and even topics I haven't spoken about. I know that this wasn't streamlined to be perfect or that there was some stagnation, but I'm not a teacher, guys. But I'm just trying to teach something that I know and that I'm aware of, and I just want to help people. So bear with me. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. And yeah, so I'll just leave you with this: the voice that you're hearing, know that you are pure existence, that you're sitting down, feel the weight of your body, feel the breath, hear these thoughts, hear what I'm saying, and just be pure existence, be beyond the mind, be intuition itself, be pure awareness. You already are that. It's when you reflect on false identification that you lose who you are and false conclusions and such. So just be pure existence. It's pretty easy, but I understand that it's not sometimes. Look within, you'll see everything that it's the same and it runs the same. So if you have any questions, leave a comment or email me. If you want to see anything in particular, like a topic, just let me know. I'll make another PowerPoint. This took me hours to make. I do want to help people. So, yeah. Okay. I've been talking long enough. Have a good one, guys.